All right, Adam, what are we doing here today?
We're going to interview my doctor, Dr. David Tully-Smith. He's running for governor of California on the Republican ticket.
And why are we doing this?
Well, since I've been going to see him when we have our little consultations, we talk politics, and he's convinced me that he'd be a good candidate. Plus, I've never voted for a Republican before. He's the first Republican I've ever liked what he had to say. He's an Eisenhower Republican.
So we're making this video because
I told him I would help him in any way I could, and this is my idea to help him, is to get him out there. We got to get him out there.
You've never.
When you hear what he has to say, you'll understand why. We're back. Get this.
The phenomena you're about to witness could well revolutionize.
Hello, how are you?
You want to bump us up?
I do.
Oh yeah.
Facts and evidence that take up where other explanations leave off. Some of these revelations may very well go against things you have been taught.
That's my lunch.
It costs so much to live here. The taxes are so high. Real estate taxes, the income taxes, sales taxes. But we're so far in debt, so what's the problem?
Well, we got two problems. The main problem is what we refer in business as cash flow. Basically, we have a budget shortfall every year, and because we spend more money than we collect. And during a recession like we've had over the last couple of years, it's very difficult to raise taxes further, and you've already noted that the taxes are too high where they are. In fact, the statistics show that California has the worst business climate in the country. They're 50th out of 50 states. And it's because of the things you mentioned, high taxes. The other factor is high regulatory load. So when I talk to small business people all around the state, everyone's got the same problem. The regulations are killing them and the taxes are killing them. So we need to cut taxes and we need to get rid of red tape and regulation. That's clear. We've got a roughly $18 to $20 billion shortfall projected. So that's the bad news, because that's substantial. The good news is that California has at least $100 billion in assets, a positive balance sheet of $100 billion, which means we have $100 billion of reserves on file that we can do something with. So when I go around the state and I talk to all the different business people, everybody knows how to solve this problem who's ever run a business. And that is, number one, we've got to sell assets to meet our short-term shortfall problem, to make up the $20 billion. And then we have to cut our spending to get it down to the level where we're sustainable. Independent polls say that 80% of Californians want to spend more on the schools, less on prisons, and somewhat less on health and human services. And to just give you some idea of where rational cuts can be made, number one, we can't cut education any further. In fact, I favor rollback on the recent tuition hikes at the University of California. For every dollar we put into education, it brings back $3 to $4 of economic growth to the state. Health and human services is an area which consumes a very large percentage of the budget, but it's very inefficient. And just to give you an idea of the inefficiency, if we took every patient on Medi-Cal and we bought them a private insurance policy, it would save over $8 billion a year. Now, $8 billion won't handle an $18 billion or $20 billion shortfall. However, it's the entire annual budget of the prisons for California. California spends more per capita on prisoners than any other state in the country. That's not what the people of California want. 80% of them want to spend more on the kids and less on the prisons. So we just have to listen to the voters in order to solve these problems. There are a lot of people in prison that get there for nonviolent crimes that pack the prisons that are extremely expensive. In fact, we spend more on a prisoner per year than it would cost to send them through Stanford University or Harvard University. The juvenile justice system needs a change. For example, hundreds of millions of dollars a year can be saved at the state level by delegating all of the juvenile justice incarceration to the counties. One of the big problems in the state historically is water shortages. We've had drought for the last 3 years. This year we have average or higher rainfall. So counties and cities that were thinking about dealing long-term with their water problems are all of a sudden thinking, well, maybe we don't have to deal with it after all because the reservoirs are full this year. So it's that short-sighted kind of thinking about we've got a good year this year so we can forget drought years and that sort of thing is part of the problem. We all tend to think about the movie business in Southern California and the high-tech businesses of Silicon Valley. Our number one business is agriculture. It's the biggest business we have. And right now, because of poor long-term water policy, our farmers are hurting. In fact, the unemployment rate in the Central Valley is currently at 40% in some counties, which is worse than it was in the Great Depression. I'm running in the Republican primary against two prominent wealthy candidates who's almost totally are experienced in areas of business. You know, I've been an educator at all different levels, from secondary education through university and professional schools. I have 2 doctorates, one in chemistry, one in medicine, and so in the area of education I'm far better qualified than the other candidates. In the area of healthcare, I spent 35 years practicing medicine. I was an early adopter of high technology in healthcare.
Shouldn't he have sparklers? You just drive around at night. That's such a good idea.